Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby. We are here at the AI in Capital Markets Summit, brought to you from the 18 Group in New York City. It is my great pleasure to introduce you to Julia from Data4Real. Julia, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
It's an absolute pleasure. You've been on the panel.
Yes.
Sounds like a really good panel, really interesting discussion you've had already today.
Yes, very much so, yes.
Lovely to meet you. Lovely to hear a little bit about your background. We've got a lot to talk about today, but I think one of the things you're passionate about, one of the things I think is actually probably one of the most pertinent and important conversations we have in this space is there is a lot of hype over the last couple of years around AI and data. There's been a conversation, I don't think I've had any conversation in this space over the last couple of years that hasn't had its somewhere weaved into it all. But the interesting thing is over the last couple of months we've had real life application that's been happening. There's also a lot of people who have been talking about doing a lot of AI projects but not necessarily really moving the needle. So I think it's an incredibly important part of it to make sure from your data, from your AI, that you are getting as much value as you possibly can from it. Tell me a little bit about how that's working, where your view sits in that.
So a lot of what I do is around how do you get value, real business value for the company, for the organization. So a lot of my consulting advisory practice and what I teach at NYU to business people is how, in fact, you get value from data and AI and what do you need to understand, what do you need to build, and how do you get there. So one of my biggest things is that data or AI strategy, for that matter, is business strategy. So you've got to have a business strategy that leads somewhere, and then data and AI kind of come after that. So that's the biggest, kind of one of the biggest things that I have seen happening, because a lot of, especially in AI, is very hyped up. And one of the things I've started on the panel, I was moderating the panel, that if what you're trying to achieve is to be able to say that you're doing AI, you don't care much about moving things out of POC. If you're trying to achieve is getting value, then you have to move out of POC, and that's not easy. And so that was the discussion on the panel.
So tell us about some of the complications that stop that being easy.
Well, the first one is, if you want to move something out, what's the point? What's the value? And people go into ROI and try to do calculations, and that doesn't work well with any type of data-centric project, which is AI. It is based on data. So we talked a lot about soft value. So if you're looking at the retention of the customers, if you're looking at improving customer experience, if you're looking at increasing your market reach, that's the places where you can get AI. Some efficiencies, but efficiencies are always hard unless you start data-centric. So I'm actually not a huge fan of going with efficiency on either data or even AI projects. Like, there is always productivity enhancement, but people don't spend all of their time writing emails. So you cannot replace a whole person. You can, so it doesn't, as a hard ROI, it doesn't always work. So we talked about this first. What's the value? And how do you define the value? Because you don't want to move anything to production. It's expensive. So one of the panelists she made a really good point, and she said, because she is in that space, they look for scalability across multiple business problems. They want to solve more than one problem. And then you have to look, actually, do you have data that can support it on enterprise scale? Because in POCs, you can clean up, you can bring a little bit, it'll work fine. You need to be able, it's going to scale. So that's what one of the major things that we talked about is, what do we need and what actually brings value.
And you're turning this whole conversation into a book as well, which I love the idea of. It's going to be released in August.
Yeah.
No name yet for the
No name, of course. I probably should ask ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly.
What's a good name for this book?
Yeah.
And I teach the class. So funnily enough, I did ask. So this is the book. This is going to be a textbook for the class I teach at NYU.
Okay.
And when I proposed, and it's a curriculum that I created, and it's all around the value of data management, AI brings to business, and it's teaching business leaders where exactly value is in data. And I did ask ChatGPT what would be a good name for the course, and it proposed a bunch that I liked, and I proposed to curriculum committee, and they didn't like any of it. So it's basically the name of the course is Business Data Strategy.
Yeah.
I doubt that's the name of the book is going to be, but the point of the book is where my passion is, which is how do you use data and data capabilities to bring value into your organization.
So when you're releasing that book and you're thinking, right, people are going to read it, going to take it home. If you were to say there's 2 or 3 takeaways that you want them to be thinking about differently, having read your book, what would they be?
So one of the main takeaways, and I start with it, and I get it in the middle, and I go in the end, is that just having data is not enough.
Yeah.
And I introduced the whole notion of data capabilities, which is all of the data management, data governance discipline that we've been talking about, because data has to be usable, it has to be useful.
Yeah.
And unless you make it so accurate, exactly, usable, accurate, you need to be able to connect it, you need to have full view of everything you have, you need to know what you can use. So there are a bunch of things that I go through in the book, and unless you have that, just having data just doesn't help you. So that's the takeaway number 1, that without capabilities, there isn't very much you can do with data. The second big one is that you have to understand first what is your business strategy. So what I've said, that data strategy is a business strategy. Building data warehouse is not a data strategy. Creating data governance is not a data strategy. Data strategy is here is what you want to achieve from the business lens. Do you want to grow the company? Do you want to retain the customers? Do you want to improve your efficiencies, the margins? And then data capabilities play there. And the third one is that a lot of it is about culture and organizational capabilities versus technology. This is so, and that is true about AI as well as data. This is so not about the technology. There is technical component, of course.
Yeah, sure.
But the hardest one is cultural and having thinking differently about what you do and how you do it, and that's organizational cultural capability that you have to build before you even go to technology space.
I want to circle back to something you mentioned beforehand about the sort of axis of productivity and efficiency. And AI has clear advantages in both of those sort of areas, but you said you sort of attach yourself to the productivity over efficiency cycle of this. So expand on that a little bit. I think it's really interesting.
One of the easiest applications that doesn't require a lot of data maturity, that's why it's one of the easiest, is improve productivity. So marketing materials, email writing, making sense of your, summarizing your meetings. One of the really good ones is creating documentation for the old code that nobody knows about. So all of those are productivity enhancements. So efficiency is a little difficult. So I remember when I was back in the industry, in the executive committee, basically somebody saying, yes, I understand what you have built brings us this value, but how much does it cost what you've built? And that was a very appropriate question. Because if you're not starting as a data-centric company that makes all its decisions of how you bring customers in, how you service the customers, how you operate from data-centric perspective, cleaning the data after the fact is expensive. So you get the upside from the analytics, from customer experience, and that's how you can influence much easier the upside. Influencing the operational cost is actually a lot harder because you still have to clean up after all the bad habits, and it doesn't go away. It never goes away. Unless you redo how you actually operate to begin with. So that's why I'm making that kind of a difference, because Gen AI allows you productivity enhancements, so you can spend more time, people can spend more time doing higher value tasks.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily go to the bottom line.
Yeah.
The same is true with data. You do straight through processing for finance, for marketing, and they get a lot more efficient. But again, unless you re-engineer your front end, overall, it ain't gonna be much cheaper.
I think this is such an important part of it, and I'm pleased you sort of touched on this, because the productivity piece for me is the absolute driver in all of this. It is a situation where you talked about higher value tasks. And I think there's so much pressure around getting people to do more. And the only way you can do that is to get them to focusing on the human element of it all. I think it's a really lazy thinking talking about how this is about moving jobs on and obliterating jobs.
Yeah.
It's about making people more effective from them. And exactly what you're saying there. I think we get this right, there is a big opportunity for us to increase global productivity in a very spectacular way. So, Julia, look, listen, it's a fantastic subject. I'm going to finish with one last question for you. Talking about your day job, I mean, you mentioned there about the lecturing at NYU. Talk to us a bit about Data4Real. What are you doing? Who are you helping? Where do you fit into the ecosystem?
I help all kinds of companies. So one of the great things in the industry, I was always in financial services. One of the very pleasant surprises when I started my own company is that I can now work with non-for-profits and the biotech companies and finance companies as well. And as I said, my focus is figuring out where data and AI can bring value to this company, given what this company wants to do. And so building this business value-driven data and AI strategy, and then how do you implement it so you don't have to wait 2, 3, 5 years for the outcome? So what do you do, why do you do it, what do you do, in what order to bring the most value the soonest? That's what I do. That's what I help companies with. And it's a wide variety of companies, and I'm always very excited to see when this actually comes to the fruition and there is a value coming out of it.
It doesn't feel you could be specializing in a better space right now, in a better subject. So I'll look forward to hearing about the book. I'll get it on my Amazon pre-order when I know the name.
Thank you. I will let you know.
I wish you the very best of luck with it. It's been great meeting you. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Nice meeting you too.
Thank you all for watching. We will see you soon on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.